How's it going, peoples? This Fox back again for sound design tutorials. That was the sound of Exhale by Output. A truly modern vocal engine is how they sell it. Everything you heard then there was from Exhale, all from one preset and one mode, which is called loops mode. We'll be going over that later on. In loops mode, it takes individual sections out of one sample, loops them over. You can change the starting point, the varying pitch. Very cleverly turned one of them into like a kick. And then I just drew the MIDI clips in the note and made this with it. There you go. Bit of fun I had. Doesn't show you everything this can do by any whatever. Anyway, this can do a lot more than this. We're going to go to the start. I'm going to go through all the different settings, all the different buttons and sliders. Hopefully not waffle on too much and explain what this thing can do. So we're going to go to the main section. As I said, we're in loop mode. There's 3 different modes that you can use. They all use roughly the same sort of samples. As in Signal by Output, you can browse through them by different genres. This one is a percussive electro one. It's called Everyone Is Here. We go into note mode. Let's pick an airy, warm sound. Let's start with Luscious Pad. Where's it gone? Bear with me a second. Let's turn the master volume up a bit. Presets really are amazing. They've designed everything for you. It's just, I can't explain the quality of these synths that this Output are producing is amazing. I've done a video on Signal last week or a few days earlier in this week. Some people were complaining about the overall sound quality of the engine. Maybe it's something I'm doing inside Ableton because I really can't put a fault on it personally myself. There's a lot of control. Maybe it's something to do with the effects that I added. Maybe it was too much saturation or something like that. But trust me, the audio engine that they've got running inside this is Contact. So it runs inside Contact or the free Contact player. So the quality of the audio engine is not in question. But yeah, this is the main section. When you pick a preset, if you are going to just browse through the presets and picking yourself, you've got 4 macro controls, as I say, very similar to what you've got inside Signal. Tells you on them what they are. You use the sliders to change the presets around as you see fit. If you wanted to delve inside the engine and make your own sounds, or even just tweak the ones you've got, all you do is click on the engine mode. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this notes mode. What this does, it's the same sample. It allows you to play it chromatically or in chords or however you want, scaled across the keyboard, it's only one sample. It's the difference between loops and slices. Although they come from one sample, in the loop mode it's looping different sections over so they sound different, and in the slices mode it's individual slices of the same sample. So it's always the same sample but played, so you can play it like I say, as chords or notes. Very, very straightforward. So let's have a quick look at the engine. So you've got a choice of they're not waveforms, obviously they're samples, but you've got 2 sample engines inside each one. You've got a choice, there's loads of different ones. You can choose one-shots, pads, tape, or tape 2. The one-shots, as you imagine, are one-shot samples that have a start and an end. The pads are sustained ones that will go on for a lot longer. Tape, this is like tape delayed or tape recorded ones. Some of them go forward and then backwards. Let's just change this. Tape 2 the same. So you've got loads of different sound sources you can come from. Let's change this back to this pad. Very velocity sensitive. The way you change the sensitive and the velocity button is this little gear icon. Make it more or less. You have a general glide as well inside this button. We'll talk about these buttons in the middle. You've got a glide between the notes. Glide and velocity sensitivity. You then have a general ADSR, which controls the overall ADSR of each side, one for the left, one for the right. So you've got 2 separate engines. Everybody knows what an ADSR is. And then you've got 2 EQs as well, one for each side. These are very, very good EQs, very easy to use. You've got a low shelf, a high shelf, a high mid, and a mid EQ. With frequency, Q, and gain control for each section. Very easy to sculpt the sound, cut bits out if it's sounding a bit too much, or add some extra weight in areas like they have done in this. Very, very easy, very straightforward. Excuse me. You've got individual volume control over each side, source A and source B. You can turn each source on or off with these power buttons at the bottom. So at the minute we've got 2. The first one is this rich hum. The second one is this airy ah. So yeah, it's as simple as that. You've got individual pan control per side if you wanted to pan one hard right, one hard left. As I say, volume control for each source, and also the ability to reverse the sample. This is a cool trick. You can see it shows you get a graphic representation of what it's doing inside here, so you can tell it's at the minute it's played as it is. If you reverse it, it's going to reverse it. Simple as that. So nothing too difficult about choosing your actual sound source. So pick a category if you like, choose the sound source for it, load it in, choose your pitch, pan it, volume it, set up your ADSR and your EQs. Then you start thinking about if you want to add effects or something like that. The effects and the master effects are the same in every single section in regards to what this rhythm engine can do and how you can control them. It takes a rhythm engine from Signal. You turn it on or off here. You choose your rhythm, what you want to create the rhythm in this middle box, and then these are the things in this top row that can be modulated by this rhythm. See these yellow boxes? This is the send. So now I've turned that on. You can see this sine wave at a quarter note is modulating the volume for A and B, the filter cutoff for A and B, and saturation for A and B, which is automatically joined together. If we change the rate, it has an instant and drastic effect. let's turn everything off apart from the volume modulation, because that's the easiest one to hear. Let's change it. So as with the video for Signal, I'll do a link to Signal in this so you can watch that over, because I'll go into more detail what these rhythm engines can do. You can either choose between a wave or a step. In the wave mode, you can choose your pattern between simple, medium and complex. Real straightforward, they're just LFO shapes at the end of the day. You've got your basic ones to start with. You've got sine wave, triangle, square, ramp up, ramp down. Then you start to go a bit more funky with trapezoids and sort of sinusoidal square wave ones, mixed ones. As you go through to the medium, they're more complex shape, and in the complex you've got some real groovy sort of crazy patterns. Let's try one of these. Slow the rate down so you can hear the effect it's having. That will be quite a nice gated sound if we do it 1/8. So yeah, the wave in effect is just a basic LFO that you can use to modulate any of the sends at the bottom, as we said. Once you've changed your LFO shape, you always have to click OK. It asks you if you definitely want to change it. You have to click OK. These are your sends. It's just the amount you want it to do, whatever you're doing. Bearing in mind you've got two separate filters for A and B, so you can set the cutoffs different ways. It's always a low pass filter. Well, no, you can change it. You can change the filter types inside the filter, but so we'll go over the effects again in more detail in a bit. So yeah, separate controls over A or B. Simple as that. Send it. Let's send it to the filter for A. Let's turn the ADSR envelope off. Adds a lovely sheen and shimmer to pads, even just the modulation on the volume does. Yeah, apart from the wave mode, I mean, this is where you choose your patterns. You can cycle through the patterns just by clicking these right arrows. You then have a choice of a step sequencer. Again, if you go into pattern mode, you've got simple and then complex patterns. Again, some of these are going to be your classic sort of up and down swells. That's almost like a triangle sine wave, that is. This one's like a pure square wave. You're going to have some more gated style ones in the complex section. If we pick this one, for instance. Or even a more drastic swelly one like this. As with the step sequencer inside Signal, you can draw your own shapes in by holding right click if you want to draw definite lines, or if you hold the left click you can edit each step individually, draw in your own shapes as you see fit, or you can do a combination of the two. Very easy to draw your own shapes in this. I love the way you can do two different modes, as I say, by single clicking or holding, clicking and drawing, and then you've got some more precision tool if you right click to give you these definite lines. Real straightforward. What else have we got? You can change the number of steps when in the step sequencer: 16, 8, 4 or 2. Enough said. All on beat as you would expect. You've then got this unique little flux button. This adds a bit of randomness into the starting point of the modulation. The rate, sorry. It flicks the rate around all over the shop. Pull the amount down. What's this edit button? Edit. Flux editor. Flux rate. You can change the rate of the flux. You can draw the pattern for the flux as well, which is cool. So you can change where the flux sort of flips around, changing the rate, and you can also change the number of steps as well. I didn't realise that button was there, but that's very cool. This is going to change the rate, skipping all over the place now. modulated something with a little bit more prominence like this talk. If we go out of this, you get the general idea what that flux does anyway. It just adds in some crazy modulation to the LFO rate. Let's do away with the filter. Let's do away with the torque, the saturation and the pan, because we're only modulating the volume. So yeah, that pretty much covers the notes mode. So pretty much choose your sound source, pitch it, pan it, EQ it, add your ADSR, and then assign your rhythm. I mean, this rhythm isn't unique to the notes mode, but we just went over it there. We'll go over all the effects in detail at the end. For now, we'll go back to the main section and change it to loops mode. This is the one that I had going at the start, so let's just pick another one and play this little thing, see what it does. So yeah, that was the same rhythm that I made that dubsteppy one with that other one, but it just applied it to a different preset. Same way to choose your presets, exactly the same. Click on the button at the top, choose your, let's try an atmosphere, call it a dead. So yeah, just pick your category, then pick your preset, and then you're good to go. Let's try another percussive one. Drip Drop Dungeon. Remember, these are all vocal samples. I pretty much turned it into a drum machine. It's so cool. Yeah, let's talk about this note modes then. I'm sure there is an init mode in each one of these categories. If we uncheck all of these, if we go back to the start, I believe loops init 000 for each category is an init. So we are now in loops mode. The engine is slightly different for this. You've got 2 pages of samples that you can use for your loops. They are already looped and chopped up for you. Let's choose this light kit. When I press down on a note, you can see what it's doing. It shows you in here, this sample box. You only got one engine for this, in effect. Each note, I think it's only across 1 octave. Each note across 1 octave is a different sample. You can use this keyboard here. You can see what it's doing. You can change the start point by dragging this. This is the whole sample. It's a different sample for this one. So it is actually a load of different samples, but you still have control over the start point for each sample. Like this one. If you like that hit better than that one, or if you hold it down, it'll play all of them when it's in this loop mode. If it's not looped, it plays as long as you hold the button down. Which one was it that I unlooped? When it's not looped, it plays to the end of the sample, then it's it. If you hold loop, if loop mode is checked, it will loop it as you would imagine. Then we've got some basic controls over each individual slice or chunk of sample, if you like. You've got panning, you've got the overall tune or pitch, plus or down 2 octaves. You then have, obviously, as I said earlier, change the start point, and then you have an overall volume control of each sort of slice or sample. You've got the same velocity setting inside the gear icon, the same ADSR, and the same EQ. You've only got one this time because you're only working on one engine. So I'll just show you this EQ quick. If we wanted to boost the low end and add a peak, or even a trough, even cut some out, you can see the EQ, although it looks quite basic, is very, very good, very easy to use, and really straightforward. Nothing too drastic. So yeah, once you've picked your load of samples, if you like, you say you can transpose them all, pan them, pitch them individually. Because they're sort of based around the same sample source, it's ideal just to use these all in one song at the same time. Let's get out of the EQ for a section. You've then got the rate of how it plays the speed. You can edit all of them in one go with these buttons here. You can reset them all, reset the volume of them all, reset the pan of them all if you've been messing around, reset the tune, reset the sample start, reverse them on, reverse them off, loop on or loop off. This is for all of them. It affects every single sample. So yeah, you can reverse individual samples as well. Nothing could be simpler. This is how fast it plays it. Double time as it comes as standard, or half time. And that's per sample, I believe. No, the rate is per project, if you get what I mean. This changes the speed for all of them, which makes sense. Yeah, that about covers it. Then again, you've got the pulse engine, which you can control all the same things again. Let's just turn a phaser on. So yeah, exactly the same controls over the rhythm with the rhythm engine that you had in the last one. It's all the same sends, if you like. Again, you've only got one engine, so you don't get the A or B. So yeah, that pretty much covers the loop mode. My favourite one we're going to go to now, which is the slice mode, and then we'll go over all the effects. Slice mode. Very, very similar to the loop mode, but they're a lot smaller chunks. Very, very cool. So you've got exactly the same controls over all these samples again. You can change the start, reverse it, choose it to loop, or just be a one shot. Then your own individual tune, the speed of the overall thing. You've got format shift, which is cool. I don't know whether this is per sample. Format shift is per engine. This has been mapped to a macro, if I'm right. It's been mapped to the torque macro for you to mess around with. So you can change the format shift, which is like the vowliness or the... It's just some peak filters sweeping through, picking out certain points and making it sound vowly. Excellent, excellent sound quality again. So same thing. You've got two different pages for this. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5, 20. So 40 different lots of samples to choose from. I spoke to the geezers at Output, and they said you can put your own sounds into this, but you need to know a lot of back knowledge about how Kontakt works. And in that regards, I would imagine you have to go deep inside it, load your samples in there, and chop them all up yourself. for it to work. Not something I can do personally. I wouldn't even dream of messing around with this. You've got plenty to go with. There are updates or packs released for this as well. I would imagine you get a load new samples and stuff like that. Let's try this vowel stabs. Try muted RO. Try some of the different ones. Hit me. Very, very similar in regards to their tone and overall positioning of each one's. Forever You. Very, very good for disco and housey sort of music, this is. So yeah, real basic. This is my favourite one by far because it's, you can literally just treat it as a sample player and just bash it out like an MPC. So then you got the same effects engine again that you can modulate the sends with, as we keep on showing you. I'll talk through these sends now, just quickly go over the controls. The volume is self-explanatory, it's just an overall volume control. Let's set this to 1/8. So volume, self-explanatory. Pan, self-explanatory, it pans it from left to right. Filter controls the filter cutoff. Phaser modulates the phaser frequency. To the rate of this wave or the step thing that you got going on, as you would imagine. This modulates the torque frequency. In the saturator, it modulates the overall amount of saturation. Get some cool distorted sort of fluttery effects using that. Let's go back to the main section and we'll pick a pad now in notes mode. We'll go to an Atmos. We are not in notes mode. We are in notes mode. We'll go to creative pad. Let's try Expanse. Listen to that bad boy. We'll turn off these modulation effects. We'll talk about the master effects. This pitch is pretty cool. It's like a vibrato, if you like. You've got control over the rate. Lovely. This dirt is emulates a cabinet. You've got loads of different ones you can choose from. Size of the cabinet. You can add air and overall output gain. This motion is a cool one. This is a chorus. Control the speed of the modulation and the depth. Nice slow one's good. You can change the phase, the starting point of the modulation. Speed's very fast there. You then have a basic compressor. You've got threshold, ratio, attack, release and gain. Not going to go through that. This tone one, it's like a resonator if you like, or an EQ even. It's a series of filters. You can boost or cut. You've got a master low pass at the end. and a master high pass. It's like another EQ at the end of it all. If you've introduced some torque and some saturation at the send stage and it's giving you too much trouble, then you can cut it out or manipulate it with the tone. Delays are what you would imagine. We'll switch this quickly to note mode, slices mode, sorry, just to show you the delays and the reverbs in the master section. Let's turn all the other modulation off. So the delays, it's a twin delay, left and right. You got control of the time individually and separately of left and right. So we'll have a 1/8, 1/4, feedback quite high. As you would imagine, the more feedback you give it, the more it's going to ring out. You can pan individually the reverbs on the left and the right delay. Let's give it a lot of wet. Delay, what can I say? The reverb is world class. This is a convolution reverb that comes inside contract. You've got loads of it. This is one of my favourites, this Grand Cathedral. Let's go back to the pad again for this, to notes mode. Pick a pad again. Let's pick this Eve. That's already got a reverb on it, you can tell. We'll turn the delay off, these modulation effects. We'll crank the reverb up. We'll pick that Grand Cathedral that I chose. You can choose early reflections, plea delay, high pass and a low pass filter going out. That just about covers it. The effects are real straightforward. I'm sure I don't need to go in any detail than what I have with these effects. Just remember the top ones are your sends, where you can dial them in or out with your send amount. Always links to this rhythm engine, or this pulse engine if you like, modulating up and down to the shape that you put in the box. The effects at the bottom are master effects, so this goes on everything at the end. They cannot be controlled by the effects engine, the modulator if you like. But yeah, I hope I've done this justice and I've shown you a little bit of what this thing can do. The other thing we should talk about quickly is the macros. What have I done? There we go. The other thing we should talk about is the macros. They are already assigned for you if you use the presets. If you're setting your own up and you want to assign them, it's really quite straightforward. If you go to macros, select parameters assigned to a macro for. If you click when you're in the macros mode and you want to add a parameter to either 1, 2, 3 or 4, all you do is click on top left, right, whichever one you want. If we want to add another parameter to number 1, all you do is hover over the parameter you want to add. If I want to add mix to the phaser, click on it. If we go then into macro mode, uncheck the, how do we go into it? Go into the edit mode. Now we've applied that to number 1. This is your send. Once you've done it, if you go into edit mode, when you're in assign mode, that's where you tell things what you want to do, like we just did with that phaser. Let's add the torque as well. We'll assign that to number 1. If you then go into edit mode in the macro mode, this is where you can control the starting point for the send, or whatever knob or slider it is you're going to use. And then you can control the send amount, whether it's positive or negative for this slider. So you can see what effect it's having for those ones that I've just brought in. To delete them, you just click at the bottom here, or you can bypass them. Rhythm selection. I don't know what that was doing there then. Macros, edit. Or it's just, that just shows you where it is when you click on it. That's clever. If you wonder what the parameter is, if you want to sort of pick apart presets yourself. Yeah, and then you can bypass them or delete them all together and then assign your own. Very, very easy, very straightforward. So yeah, what a bit of kit. Just show you another few of these. Where are we? Exit engine in notes mode. I'll just show you some more of these sounds. I've been showing you a lot of the pads. Let's do away with a pad. Go for a pure lead. It's not very leady. It's quite plucky. Let's try a pure tape loop lead. A lot more prominent, a lot less overpowering than the pad sounds. Yeah, there you go. X output output. It's hard for me to tell whether I prefer this to Signal. They're two totally different beasts, yet they are one of the same in the way the architecture works and the macro sliders and that. Just get them, you won't regret it. I'll put a link in the description to their website where you can go and buy this. But for now, that's been me, Fox, showing you Exhale by Output. Yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you've enjoyed this or any of my other recent overviews and demos. Plenty more to come. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers.